She once believed her life would end in prison or death. Addiction, toxic relationships, debt, shame, and a life she never imagined for herself had completely taken over. She couldn't read well, struggled with anxiety, and felt like she had lost who she was entirely. But then she discovered something that changed the direction of her life forever. A tool that helped her rebuild her identity, her confidence, and eventually her entire future. Today, she trains people all over the world to transform their lives and step into their power. But the path from where she started to where she is now is not what you would expect. And we're going to talk about that today. Hi, and welcome to the U World Order Showcase podcast, where we feature life, health, transformational coaches, and spiritual entrepreneurs stepping up to be the change they seek in the world. I'm your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist, on a mission to empower coaches and entrepreneurs to amplify their voice, monetize their mission, and get visible. If you're ready to start attracting premium clients without chasing algorithms or hunting people down like a banshee on a mission, head over to coachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. It's the first step to building a business where your clients seek you out rather than you having to hunt them down. Today, we are chatting with Deborah Yager. Deborah is a master trainer of neuro-linguistics programming, a high-performance coach, and the co-founder of Yager Training. She specializes in helping people break through their limiting beliefs, release shame, build confidence, and create powerful personal and professional transformations through NLP and high-performance coaching. Welcome to the show, Deborah. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you, Jill. So happy to be here.
All right. So the big question is, what's the most significant thing, in your opinion, as individuals we can do to make an impact on how the world is going?
So, and it sounds like this is something that you help people do every single day is stepping up to the call and realizing the mess is the message. I didn't realize when I was living on the hamster wheel of hell that I was at choice for that. Because, I thought I was really terrible at manifesting everything I didn't. I thought I was terrible at manifesting, not realizing I was really good at manifesting. It was just I needed to tweak how I was manifesting so I could shift it. I would say on a daily basis, I hate my life, right? I hate my job. As you can, as the intro, I was in a career that was completely wrong for me. And I felt like my soul was dying every single time I had to get up for work, put on the mask, just feeling like I was starving and craving for something more. And I felt like I was trapped. I also believed I was a loser magnet and I was casting spells into reality. And so I didn't realize that every single time I told my identity out loud to the universe, then I would attract the same abusive guy, different face, different name. And I would even say to my girlfriends, I will never do that again. And I would move from town to town, to state, and then attracting the same thing. Little did I know that I was only attracting what I thought I deserved because I believed I was an addict and an alcoholic. And I believed that there was something functionally wrong with me. I thought I was disgusting and broken. And the way that I would numb was through food, sex, drugs, alcohol, attention in all the wrong places, trying to fill this bottomless pit of a void that was deep down inside. And like you said before, I was a stripper and I was a sex worker. And I started doing that right at the end of 16, 17 was when I first hustled a guy for money with sexual favors. And I wound up in jail, not for the first time. This was not the first time I had been arrested for solicitation of prostitution in Las Vegas, Nevada. But this time was a little different because they actually held us overnight and they gave us the orange jumpsuit. And I got to see a vision of my future. This could be me, or even worse, I won't be on this planet any longer. And so I started asking for help. And I knew that deep down inside there had to be something more than this. And whether you're listening here and you're stuck in the hamster wheel of hell, whether it be in and out of, relationships that you don't feel like are right for you, or feeling like you can't ask for what you want, or you're not getting paid what your value is, or perhaps you have something big that you're meant to share with the world, but you're afraid and you feel like an imposter. I want you to know, and you probably talk about this inside of your school as well, is that is the gift. That is the thing that you're here to transcend. And once you get the lesson and the learning and the wisdom, you can transcend whatever you want. You can step into the truth of who you are. And the cool part is you can actually serve from it.
I love that. And it doesn't, you're on one end of the spectrum, but this happens for people on the other end too. They could be really high performing doctors and lawyers and just like totally in the wrong career for them personally. They feel it, but they're trapped because they don't think that they could be like a chef or an artist or a coach around, playing the guitar. I don't know. You just, whatever you're called to do to help people, and we're all called for some purpose. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yes. And I got goosebumps all over my body when you're talking about that because I see this, and it's multifaceted. And I see type A high performers that climb the corporate ladder, become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, high level executive. You know, they've been bought into that your intrinsic value is a success that you bring to the world. And value does come from success. It's not to discount all the degrees and the money that we make, which is a beautiful part of this earth plane school that we're here to live. And have you bought into an ideology that that's what you're supposed to do to feel fulfilled and happy? And for some people, they're truly feel happy, having that in, nice car and have the perfect wife and husband and or family and the white picket fence and having that corporate career and for maybe a season that does fulfill you, but then eventually when we saw this during COVID, people looked in the mirror like, I don't even know who I am. I don't, this life that I've created that I thought would make me happy is not really what I'm supposed to be doing with my time and to be of service with the world. And so they feel stuck. Like we work with doctors all the time that are stuck in a system that is designed to suck their life force energy and also not really add value to a lot of people's lives in a lot of ways because the medical model, from my perspective, has been there's a lot of corruption in the world. And the good news is that the more chaos that's happening, because I look at what's happening in the world with politics, the money situation, cryptocurrency, the health paradigm, all of it that's crumbling down is showing that intrinsically we are a house of cards set up a system that is no longer functional for humanity, and it's coming down, and that gives an opportunity for people that have passion, like you said, maybe an amazing chef or art or sound therapy or whatever, to come forward, and for the very first time we can love our life, do what we're meant to be doing with our purpose and passion, and make money doing it and serve the world. So it is a great time to be alive, in my personal opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. It's just like, and we're going to circle back to neurolinguistics programming a little bit on this because it really feeds into what I believe about the world in that, and you touched on it earlier with manifesting. We're all amazing manifestors. It's just that we're not really good at figuring out what it is that we want to manifest before we actually manifest it. And then we continue in this little rut that we've made, and we don't see how to jump into a different paradigm or a different timeline or however you want to look at it. We cannot constantly change how our life is going, but I think neurolinguistic programming helps us figure out how to make that happen for us. Is that
Yes. I mean,
accurate?
that was a game changer for me. And part of what we do is hypnosis. We also do a really fun modality called quantum time technique, which you can tap
Ooh.
into your timeline and collapse a probability wave into the manifestation of what you desire here in the now. And so this combination of tools gives you the ability. I don't know about you, but when I went to school, they didn't tell you how the mind body connection works and how to create success and how our identities that are negative in nature can trap us in a hamster wheel of hell. And when we step off that wheel, we have the power to create whatever we want based upon our frequency, our vibration, and our belief system. And this is quantum physics. We all know from quantum physics that what you choose to focus on and an elevated emotion, this is what Dr. Joe is talking about, and then the words we choose to use cast spells into reality. Most people don't realize that, they speak like they're describing what's happening, but they don't realize the language they choose to use is either creating the life that they desire and or is manifesting everything that you do not want. And once you understand how to crack that code, anybody can step off and create their own timeline. In fact, we're all creating our timeline with every breath, with every thought, with every word, with every elevated emotion, and every way that we filter our reality and choose to focus on what we can have and what we can't have. And most of us, when we're not trained, and that's kind of how the matrix is set up, in my opinion. We can go down that rabbit hole. The way that we've been trained is self-selecting a life that is full of pleasure, fun, adventure, transformation, and a full body hell yes for everything that you desire. We've also been trained that it's something intrinsically wrong with you if you are even asking yourself the question, what do I want? Because it's considered selfish. And so that's another. So there's all these cultural and universal belief systems that create this matrix that keep people stuck. And once you understand how the game is played, you can change it like that. And it's really fun and it's really easy.
It is easy, but it's not intuitive because we are trained over the years to, I believe we come here with a plan and we have a desire for how we want things to go and what things we want to learn and what connections we're going to make. And everybody goes through trauma because that's like the crucible to get you to go in the direction that you're supposed to go in. Oftentimes we get stuck in that trauma
Right.
and we don't realize that this is like, get over it. It's going to push you to where you need to be. And it's easy to fall back in it. It's like happens to me all the time. I have those days where it's just like, what's the point? But you got to get beyond that to realize that there is a point, and you just got to keep moving forward and take advantage of people that have a little more experience than you have to help you understand the tools that are available to us. And there are like so many tools for transforming our lives from where we are in this moment to where we want to be. People like you that are just like, come on, I can show you.
Yeah, and I think that's the point. I think that this 3D reality, we come from my perspective. This is my belief system as of right now. And by the way, when I find new information, I'm open to changing it. And as of right now, I think this is how the game plays is that we come from source, which is all intelligence. Some people would call it God, universal intelligence, Akasha. And we come down and we separate and we come and have this three-dimensional experience that is dense, right? It's separated from source. And that's technically the word sin, by the way. It means separation from source. And we're going and we're kind of fumbling around and we take the elixir of forgetfulness so we don't remember anything, and so that's the point of the game. It's like it makes the game really exciting when you don't know the mechanism of the game, but through the process of fumbling and sinning over and over and missing the mark, you start learning and knowing thyself, right? And I think that's the point is through this adversity, part of it going back to you and alchemists, right? It's the spiritual alchemists and the alchemists back in the day. They were taking this lead dense material, and through the process of alchemy, they were refining it and turning it into perfected gold. And that's what we're doing through these tragedies or spiritual boot camps. We are moving through and growing and transforming and getting transformational strategies so that we can serve in a deeper way. We also have gifts that come in that are just innate, right? And so, really, the whole process from a big picture is to discover who you are and how you're here to serve. And when you look at it from that way, there is no failure. It makes it so much more fun when you can look at it as a game. And the more failure you have and the more that you learn, the more that you win the game. So who freaking cares? And so it takes the pressure off because I think a lot of us are so afraid of failing. And I think failure is the point, right? It's just feedback. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it takes the pressure off ourselves. And then it gives you the permission to take messy, inspired action and to test, right? And, it doesn't necessarily, like, again, it could be that this is your life's purpose and you're having the calling right now, and every season's different. And so not being holding on to death grip that it needs to look this way forever, being open to change for the rest of your life, because that's the point. And when you look at it from that, it just gets super exciting and fun, for at least for me.
I love that you mentioned seasons because it ties us back to nature, and we really are natural beings. And And beings have progression. You don't expect a tree to look like a sapling its entire existence, nor do you expect it to have fruit every month of the year, or flowers, or pine cones, or whatever it is that they use to reproduce. It's just like there's seasons. And every season, there's 4 seasons, but each one of those 4 seasons in the life of a plant looks different. Some plants come and they do their thing one time, 1 year, that's it, they're done. That's their whole existence. Others come back year after year and they mature and they look different and they produce differently. And, some years it's really prolific and other years it's not so prolific. People are like that too. And I don't understand why we think that, we're going to grow up and then for women, this is especially true. You're going to become it's as though um, we're supposed to be between teenagers and matronhood eternally. Like you have to look a certain way, really young, um, in order to attract a mate. And then you're supposed to take care of your children. And then when you hit menopause, life's done.
Right.
That's it. Fully half of our lives are after that point. And
Right.
and so many women hit menopause and they're like, what happened to me? Instead of, hey, this is a new season and I have all the power now. I've got all this experience. And, for the women that didn't have kids, I think it's like maybe they went in the career route and they're really successful. So you've given birth to something. It's whatever your body of work is that you dedicated all of this time and experience to. It's okay. Now is a time that you really can shift onto a different path. And I think the more that we can help younger women who are coming up, I have teenagers, people getting out of high school, starting their career choices, to realize that, life is an adventure. You can make it whatever you want. You don't have to go down any certain path. There's no rules.
Right. And that's something that it's really dear to my heart, and I'm glad you brought this up because personally, I didn't have children. So I went from the maiden to all of a sudden, now I feel like I'm embodying I feel like I've been a mother through the birthing of our business and all that stuff. And we were going to want to have a baby at some point, and then we decided not to. And then I feel like now I'm stepping into crone energy. And everything about society says that you are supposed to look like a maiden slash mother and be fertile and beautiful and, like look like that forever. And that's the marketing system but it's also in our DNA as women, been passed down through, generations, that you are considered property or an object that could then be positioned a certain way if you're beautiful and young and vibrant, to then be able to like a political chess move essentially for family. And so
Mhm.
there's intrinsic fear of being out of date, not usable, not of value as we become crone energy. And then, on top of that, like the plastic surgery and all that stuff, not putting anybody down. I just
Uh,
personally got my breast implants removed because they were making me sick, and I was done with that season in my life, right? For many, many years, I thought my only value was the way that I looked. And you could see in that type of career how that was reinforced in so many ways. I chose to objectify myself. Nobody objectified me. That was something I chose to do. And so just having this conversation to let women know that you are beautiful. And the lines, from my perspective, is the wisdom. It's kind of like the aging on a tree of all the different lines. You've been around the block so many times and you have gifts to share with the world with that. And I have my little skunk stripe to prove it. She's coming in
I
and I look at
love
this as
that.
my my rogue energy that's, like the wisdom from it. So that's something I'm personally moving through as well, and letting go of the constructs. Is this really mine and do I truly believe this? Or is this something that has been told to me to control and keep my power, dampened? as a woman and stepping into this new sage type of energy. And so, yeah, just letting other women know that you're not alone.
You're not alone. And personally, I went through menopause decades ago. I love this part of my life. I did have lots of kids, but they're adults now and I don't have to run their lives. That's their job. I
Yeah,
can just like visit and enjoy who they are as human beings and encourage the women that are part of my tribe that, you know, there's more to life than just this moment and season that you're in, but really enjoy that season. Enjoy the present, embrace the moments that you have to experience in life. And then in that gratitude and ability to appreciate the good pieces and to learn from them, you can move forward into other experiences that you will treasure just as much. It's not, you don't have to stay in that season just because society says you must.
right. Right. We have the power to define it in any way. And I think there's a cultural thing, and then it's been around for many years, and now even it's amplified with social media. And so it's just a great conversation to have of the nuances of the different seasons as women and the things that we fear, right? Do we feel like I have a husband that supports me and he's like, do not get, Botox and stuff like that. But some men, like I know women that have been pressured into getting breast implants or doing this or that or augmenting their body. Not that there's anything wrong with that if that's something that you feel called to do. And, as women, as we're stepping into consciousness of this new version of ourselves and what that means as the different season of women and how we can define that in our own unique way and freedom and play and fun. Also, conscious men, too, supporting that dynamic of their other half as well. So I think we'll see a shift. The more that we embody spirituality as a culture, I think a lot of that will fall away in the wayside because the value is not on the outside, it's more of what is coming from within.
I think so too. And it's not just a woman issue, it's men and women.
Hmm.
Men men getting the freedom to realize that they can just be themselves
Right.
and they don't have to be mothered by somebody or they don't have to be in total control over everybody. They're not responsible for everybody's life,
Right.
including their own.
As the
And
provider.
yeah, they they can just be a partner. They can be somebody that you have fun with. They're your friend, not not the father figure in some cases or the child figure. It's like they don't have an identity anymore. And a lot of the feminist movement was just like pushback against the control that a certain group of predominantly men had over how women were supposed to be treated. The whole women's movement didn't happen really until the 70s. I was
Right.
a teenager when it was really coming into being, and I watched the dynamics of how men and women relationships changed, um, and how it affected women. And my mom was she was part of the burn your bra crowd,
That's awesome.
married to a naval officer.
Yeah.
Very conservative on one side and very liberal on the other. It was really funny to watch their dynamics. But it's just like change is happening, and you can see
Right.
it in the younger women coming up, and even the men. It's like people are allowed to more and more just be who they are.
Right.
We're not making commentary if you come into this world and you're attracted to the same sex.
Great.
That's great. That's who you are.
If not, do great.
Yeah, if you're not, great. And you can be who you are and
Right.
contribute what you're here to contribute. It doesn't define who you are as a human being. It just defines what you're attracted to.
Yeah, and I love what you talked about in terms of, like how there's always like what we see in society is this pendulum swing of, there's some sort of repression or trauma that's done, happening for us, not to us, right? I think in the bigger
Right.
picture, it all has a purpose for our own consciousness to wake
Mhm.
up and to be again of choice of who we are. And so then, we attend some people tend to then, because of the wounding, then go to the far end of the spectrum. And I can tell you this in my own personal life of how I've had the pendulum swing. And then now I feel like we're coming to the middle of like, yes, there has been pain and sorrow on both sides. And yes, there's been trauma that we've done to each other and also to other people. And we don't have to do that anymore. And we can ask ourselves what we truly delight, what we truly desire, from a neutral, place, and respect all variations of creation and re-identify ourselves of whatever our soul is asking for in this life and what is that purpose. And so it's just such a beautiful time to be alive. I'm so grateful. Sometimes I pinch myself with my husband. We say to ourselves, we love our life because it's just like an amazing time to be alive. We have so
It
much
really
freedom.
is.
We do.
We do. We can step into the matrix and get in a place of fear. I mean, it's easy to do that. But it's also easy to step back and say, but today is good.
Hmm.
Nothing has really impacted me personally. And I can do things to impact others that will make their day good too.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
so, how does the neurolinguistics play into all of this in terms of how how you help people stop that self-doubt, fear, and insecurity?
Yeah, so NLP, neuro linguistic programming, it's a science of the mind body connection. It's a science of language, how we choose to speak to ourselves. I used to have a really strong itty bitty shitty committee, and it was, in fact, it was a committee of all these different voices inside myself that were constantly berating. And having the realization, going back to like the shadow and what we have been told that is bad or nasty or disgusting about ourselves, realizing that that is our greatest advocate. It just has not the right training, right? And so having compassion and love for ourselves, I think the more that we embrace our shadow, the more that that's going to get projected out on the stage of this universal consciousness, that we see this dynamic of polarizing opposites. And so understanding that that voice is trying to help you and retraining it, with NLP to speak nicely to yourself, and it will get a better result and so much easier. And then how do we communicate effectively to others, right? And so, and our dynamic relationships, or even the context of facilitators and coaches and health practitioners, how do we inspire and motivate and lead people with conscious use of language so that they see the possibility in saying yes to themselves? And then the patterns and programs. So where do they come from? Is it this lifetime? Has it been passed down through the generations? Is this epigenetically been stored in our DNA and our cells and turned off certain DNA? And like, is it a cellular memory of trauma and drama from the past? Because from my perspective, no matter what color your skin is, no matter where you're from, most likely at some point your ancestors went through genocide, famine, rape, just war in general. And so that is stored in our stuff and our beautiful stuff that we can transform, and we don't have to be a victim in it and carry it any longer. And the cool thing is that when we do this work, we not only heal 8 generations into the past, but we eight generations to the future. And the work that we do internally, not only because we all know from the hermetic laws and or in Hebrew scripture or the Bible, as above so below. So when we do the work internally, then it reflects back onto the grand stage of life. And so all of this together, and then past lives, some people believe in past lives, about 50%, and we've seen wild things with past life that's been, from our perspective, passed down through the soul body, right? And so all of this dynamic that then makes up how we think, we feel, we manifest, how we speak about our identities, the unconscious behavior and conscious behavior, because a lot of people are very aware that they sabotage themselves, but they just don't know how to change it. And so once you understand that map and you have the tools to repattern and program and choose different language to create your reality, it gives you ultimate freedom.
It really does. And it's kind of like knowing where the doorknob is to this door. And I think you provide that in is it a workshop? I'm not really sure what the stop self-doubt, fear, and insecurity dead in its tracks. piece is. Is it a guide?
Yes. So it is a online course that
Mhm.
we've done that you can do from the comfort of your own home, that you get a manual and you get to workshop it through, and we're
Mhm.
guiding you through a breakthrough process with NLP. We're also showing you language patterns you can use to create success. So not only are you transmuting yourself and alchemizing yourself, but then how can you use language and support and coaching modalities to alchemize the people around you, whether it be in your business and the career and or partner, or selling your kids into an idea. I'm selling my partner all the time into my perspective, of course. And it first starts with selling ourselves into our own success. And then when people enroll in that program, which by the way is that the investment of a cup of coffee in a city. So it's a very low cost investment, and the and value of the transformation is exponential. You also get bonus in what we call the breakthrough accelerator, which is teaching you about your quantum timeline. So you can do quantum time manifestation with this goal setting process that we go into the quantum field and select the timeline of what you're choosing of your desired outcome. And then we also can take you back into the past to clear that ancestral stuff as well as past life stuff that is gunking up your field. It's essentially distortion in the pattern that then once optimized, then you're projecting everything you want, and it's easy to attract exactly what you desire. So it's a good
And
place to
well,
start. Yeah.
yeah, it's a great place to start. And I can see you out there rolling your eyeballs. But let me remind you that you don't see the wind and you don't know how magnets work or gravity. They just work. And NLP works. And we do actually know how it works. On some levels, we see the results, which is really all we want, right? We just want results. So why not experience living a life where you controlling your self-doubt and the fears that we all have and insecurities which lead to anxiety, which is one of the leading things that people suffer from right now. There are so many people wandering around anxious and they don't really uh, like wake up in cold sweats in the middle of the night and their heart's pounding and they have panic attacks. That's all from like self-doubt, fear, and insecurity is like the thing that's causing this big problem. And it's really simple to take a step towards having a life where it doesn't revolve around that. And you can find that at nlpmadesimple.com, correct?
Yes, yes. And I was one of those people. I had been labeled with generalized anxiety at 13. I was on Xanax, right? And
Mhm.
I also had a belief system that I was an anxious person, that I was afraid of everything. I would have panic attacks, right, in the middle of the night, and or just going to pump gas and looking the attendant in the eye, I would literally have panic attacks. So I was afraid of everything. So I got you if you're feeling that way. And just remember that our trapped negative emotions at the unconscious level that you may not be aware, it's like it's a backpack. We've been collecting all these negative emotions because we're not taught how to process emotions, energy, and motion. And so, whenever we're having these triggers, there's something that is triggering it out of your awareness that's causing you to have this. And your unconscious mind, your body intelligence say, pay attention. That's why it's creating the anxiety and the tension in the body, because long term, we know that stress causes dis-ease. And the number one prime directive of your body intelligence is for you to be healthy and vibrant. And so it's causing you to have these panic attacks for you to wake up and find the tools to transmute this energy. And once you do, everything changes, and it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have, like for some people, they like to make it hard. I chose to make it hard because I had an identity around making it harder than it needed to be, because there's something there that I got out of it, which is called secondary gain. And it also can be very simple when you have the right tools, the right support. And you don't have to believe it to actually see it. You just have to start, because I didn't. A lot of people think that you have to believe and then it will happen. And yes, that does make it a lot easier for yourself. But I've also seen it happen over and over again with people that are super skeptical. And the stuff works. It's modern magic and it is science based. And we talk about the science of quantum physics and how it relates to the body intelligence and how you can change your life with simple dialed in focus and clearing the baggage that's holding you back.
As- Exactly. And really just to reach out to someone who has the tools to help you. But mostly, go get that guide because it's the doorknob to opening the whole rest of your life in a way that is just like going to change everything for you. It can change everything for you if you choose to let it.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Thanks so much for joining us today, Deb. This has been
Thank
great
you.
conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate the work that you're doing in the world. It sounds like you're helping people take it to the next level. And I would love to invite you to our podcast too, so we could hear your story because I would love to
Oh, I love
hear
that.
about your alchemist that you're doing with all the coaches and facilitators. It sounds like you're transforming in so many ways people's lives.
We are by spotlighting what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you.
So you can learn more about Deborah and using NLP to transform your life at nlpmadesimple.com, and we'll be sure to put that link in the description below. Thanks for joining us today. If you're ready to amplify your voice, monetize your mission, and start attracting premium clients, your next step is simple. Head to thecoachesalchemist.com and schedule your free client acquisition audit. Join us for our next episode as we share what others are doing to raise the global frequency. And remember, change begins with you. You have all the power to change the world. Start today and get visible.